This is going to be a look at the Ravens-Browns matchup in Week 15. Of course, it's a Saturday night game now that college football conference championships are over. The NFL rolls out its Saturday schedule in full bore, and the Ravens are one of the teams that got the Ravens and Browns are one of the pairs of teams that got their game moved to a Saturday. So what I'm going to do with this is I can't do a comprehensive preview like I would like to. I wish I had data for every NFL team that the Ravens play and I could present with tendencies. I kind of have to cut it off at a certain, usually it's been like 10 or 12 possessions. That's usually what it seems like I'm watching for another team's offense. And I think that's about what I've watched for the Browns. And of course, that I don't know whether you consider that representative enough for me to make projections or me to make declarative statements. So keep that in mind as we go through some of this. What I will say is it seems like they're running two offenses, and it seems like they're not sure of which one is going to be more productive, and the results for both have been inconsistent. And so what I mean by that is this. With Jacoby Brissett or Baker Mayfield or or Deshaun Watson, whoever they've had play quarterback the last 3 or 4 years, a healthy Cleveland Browns team is incredibly dangerous. Their under center run game, particularly their ability to run to the weak side of formations, really threatens the defense horizontally and then sets up the play action boot to the opposite side. That is still there, it's still present, but I do not see it as one of the overriding concepts on film that the Browns are showing. It is still there and it will be a part of what I show you. I'm going to break this film study up into three parts. The first part will be a look at Deshaun Watson's play. So we're going to look at Deshaun Watson's play in the last 2 weeks. Of course, we know they won his first game back, but they scored two defensive touchdowns in that game. And then last week against the Bengals, they lost 23-10. But look, the Bengals had DJ Reader back, and if you watch my content this week, you know DJ Reader he takes an already very, very good defense for the Bengals and makes them great. Yes, I said great. So Deshaun Watson had trouble and was inconsistent against them. I think he was also inconsistent the week before against the Texans. Now, both of those games have been on the road. He hasn't played a football game in like 700 some days, and the first two games are on the road. I am prefacing the film here to tell you I would caution against making large scale conclusions based on only two games, both of which have been on the road, one of which was against the Texans, the former franchise that Deshaun Watson played for, number one, and number two, the second of which was against the Cincinnati Bengals, who, if you listen to my content, you know I think they're one of the best two or three defenses in the NFL, even if some of their quote metrics don't show that. So, having said that, as a Ravens fan, execute some caution because I think Deshaun Watson he's just got too much talent and there's too many pieces there for them not to figure some of this out. I know that they have been inconsistent as a team all year, and he has definitely displayed that in his first two games. So, having said that, let's look at some Deshaun Watson film, and we're basically going to focus on third downs for the most part against the Bengals and just some first and 10 passing situations. And I think I'm going to try to show you the inconsistency that he's put out there on film and at least three passes that I think a sharp, conditioned Deshaun Watson is generally going to complete. All right, so let's get started with the film. This is 11 personnel shotgun, and I feel like this is one of the things Deshaun Watson is naturally good at, or he's been good at for years, dating back to even Clemson. And he's got some weapons, Amari Cooper being one of the main ones. They like this concept a lot. A deep out by the X receiver, in this case Cooper, and then some kind of drag from the other side. In this case, I think it's Donovan Peoples-Jones. You get motion running out to the flats. Cooper brings the route against cover three to the sideline. Clean, crisp by Deshaun Watson. In rhythm, no pressure. And I think that'll be key for the Ravens. A little bit of pressure, I guess I should say, D-tackle diving at his feet. That'll be key for the Ravens, is trying to get some pressure, disrupt Deshaun Watson as best they can. All right, the other, quote, offense that they're running, and this is a little simplistic or a little basic, me saying they're running two offenses, but I think it's revealing when a team like the Cincinnati Bengals puts their nickel defender to the boundary. It tells you how often the Browns are actually running to the boundary. In this case, it's a Z hide concept. So you're getting the Z who's off the line, or you can call him the H, whatever you want, running underneath behind the formation, and the run action is to the field. Normally, when you have twins to the field, right, because here's the ball, the nickel defender is normally going to be set over that side, so you get 3 over 2. That's not what the Bengals are doing here. It's interesting to me. The Ravens are going to have some decisions to make. The Browns do often attack the boundary, but this is backwards. So what I mean by that is normally the run action is to the boundary, and then the possible boot is off of it with the Z or the H or whatever, running out into the flat, or an over concept, something like that, with a clear out to the field. So my point is, this is backwards, and I think it's revealing in terms of what the Browns can do to you and how smart the Bengals are. Now, the play worked. The play went back to the nickel defender who had a chance to get a sack. I think the Browns have 2 offenses here. As a Ravens fan and Ravens content creator, I'm a little worried that now in the 3rd week with Deshaun Watson as a starting quarterback, that they'll be able to execute both of them. But the film isn't showing that, to be honest with you. All right, this is a 3rd down, and you're going to see how multiple this Bengals defense is. You're going to see how much difficulty they gave the Browns. 3-man rush. I love this coverage that the Bengals play. They did this to the Chiefs in the AFC title game last year. Rush 3. Dropped out people in man, and then had zone droppers underneath or at the 3rd level, just taking away everything, forcing the quarterback to try to throw the ball into a compressed window or scramble, and then Hubbard, Hendrickson, and some of the other guys they have who can get after the quarterback, can get to the quarterback. Deshaun Watson's an amazing athlete, though. It's surprising to me that they can get away with this. Well, they didn't use it all the time. They were multiple, being the Bengals. The Ravens are going to try to be multiple. The problem with that for the Ravens has been in 4th quarter situations, they've been breaking down, meaning they've been giving up big plays by trying to execute 2 and 3 and 4 different coverages or different schemes on defense in the span of 4 or 5 plays. The Bengals seem to have a tighter grip on being able to execute multiple formations. I just showed you a 3-man rush, a little bit of a zone man-under combination. This is sticks blitz 0. And you can see they're going to get the drag from the top side open. The drag from one side of the formation is a constant weapon in this Browns offense. And I know there's pressure. I understand. Deshaun Watson saw them line up this way. If you're a Browns fan and you're listening, I'm not saying Deshaun Watson can't play. I'm just surprised that he doesn't get this ball off. I have to think that at some point that ball is going to come out of there in these situations. Watch it a couple of times, and you tell me. Clearly he saw the Bengals line up in that coverage. Normally the teams in the NFL that are lining up like this are having 1 or 2 guys drop out. So it's possible. We'll give Deshaun Watson the benefit of the doubt. It's possible that he thought, okay, I'm not going to be concerned about this route because I think it's a pretty good chance that someone or 2 guys are going to drop out of here and occupy this area, pretty much taking that away. But that doesn't happen. I don't know what else he's looking at and why the ball isn't out a whole heck of a lot sooner. Whether you're a Browns fan, Ravens fan, I think you'll understand the point that I'm trying to make without being disrespectful towards Deshaun Watson. That was a 3rd down. Forces a punt. All right, so showed you 2 3rd downs, right? One of them, a 3-man rush with man under, zone principles, a low hole dropper in middle of the field free safety. Then the next one, a sticks blitz 0 where no one dropped out, and you had a wide open guy on the drag, which I think was Amari Cooper. Might have been Donovan Peoples-Jones. All right, 3rd one. 3rd down is just going to be your basic man free with a drop safety. Bell is going to drop to the low hole, and Bates is going to sky to the middle of the field free safety. Now we get a scramble by Deshaun Watson on a 3rd down. I think he's close, or maybe he gets it. Shows you the athleticism. The Ravens are going to have to do this, in my opinion, try to give him as many looks as possible without stretching themselves too thin. Do we have the people that can cover the Browns receivers? Yes, but we have given up big plays in the pass game. Multiple weeks, not just 1 or 2. Do we have the pass rush guys to keep Deshaun Watson in the pocket? Looks pretty athletic there. I mean, we know how athletic he was at Clemson, how athletic he was with Houston. All right, let's go a couple of 1st and 10 plays. Look at Deshaun Watson's play. You can see a little bit of the inconsistency, like I talked about. I feel like you have two situations where the ball could come out. They really love this concept to the boundary. It's to the one receiver side. So this is the X, Amari Cooper, who's often set to the boundary. And then they're getting the running back to the boundary as well. So they're creating a two receiver side where by alignment, you only had a one receiver side. Cover 3 by the Bengals. Ball's out early. Looks great to me. I think that Deshaun Watson can play in either one of these offenses and execute, meaning the under center stuff like we have right here, or in the shotgun. From what I've seen in 2 weeks, there seems to be inconsistency in trying to do so many things. And when I say so many things, don't think I'm only talking about under center, stretch and play action stuff and shotgun stuff. There is an option element to this too that I'll show you guys a little later. Deshaun Watson is executing a lot of the reads that Lamar Jackson executes in the pistol option game, in the regular shotgun option game. Stuff that he did a little bit of in Houston, don't get me wrong. All right, this time the nickel is set down here to the field, Hilton. And now the Browns have created a 3-receiver side to the boundary. And this is consistent across their attack in the last 2 or 3 years. They did this to the Ravens previously. They're trying to get the running back open by essentially clearing out, isolating the running back on this inside linebacker as the tight end passes through. DJ Reader's able to tip the ball. Ravens are going to need a couple of those. And they've been getting them. Broderick Washington, Calais Campbell, Brent Urban, other guys have been involved with tipping passes. 4-man rush by the Bengals, which is kind of standard for Mike McDonald and the Ravens. And then, max zone coverage here. We used to call it fifths. Sometimes we would call it sixths. Just basically taking the width of the field. You can't see the entire width of the field because, the screen's cut off down here for you guys. And trying to cut it into fifths underneath with 2 guys fitting outside the number 2 defender from the sideline. Number 2 defender meaning the number 2 second-level player. So when I say that, I'm talking about this guy, and then the safety fitting outside of him, this guy. Let me get rid of these lines. And then the safety fitting outside of him. So we would call it fifths with 2 guys over the top. But in any case, tip pass by DJ Reader. Pay attention to that during the game. I believe you're going to get the running. Let me go back there real quick. I believe you're going to get the running back set into the boundary often in shotgun, whether it's Hunt, whether it's Chubb, whatever. And I feel like with Chubb, they're more so likely to set him to the field and then run to the boundary. With Hunt, they're more so likely to set him to the boundary and then release him out. But I have no data. I cannot support that statement with, 10, 12, 14 games worth of data. All right, 3rd and 3, shotgun, 11 personnel. You can see what the Bengals are setting up. Looks like you've got heavy pressure coming. I would suspect that at least one guy's going to drop out of there. It's a sprint out. Great job by Hilton right here. They walk Bates up. Bates is going to slide out into the flats here. And then Hilton is going to get off and help play this route that's developing. I feel like Deshaun Watson is getting rid of the ball a little late sometimes. I'm not saying it's his throwing motion. I'm saying I feel like he's recognizing a little late when he should get rid of the ball. Well, why is that? I think it's because the Bengals are so multiple, and he's trying to figure out post-snap what the coverage is because they do such a good job of executing multiple coverages. That's what the Ravens are going to try to do, if you ask me. If we had Wink Martindale and our great cover corners we had while he was here, we would play a lot of man-free, and we would just try to beat him in those coverages. In my opinion, I love what we're doing, trying to be multiple. We just have to be able to execute them without giving up big plays. The ball should be out, and it's a great job by Hilton. All right, it's a great job by Hilton, don't get me wrong. Eli Apple is also trying to play in the middle of it, so he could theoretically, get involved in this. But he's staying it with the flat defender and the ball is thrown. In any case, I feel like the recognition of Deshaun Watson has been inconsistent based upon the way he has played in the NFL in the past. I don't know that that's going to be that way forever for him. I think there'll be an evening out of that process. Just to go back to one thing I said on the previous play, balls on the right hash, Kareem Hunt set into the boundary. Trips to the field. You get a mesh concept. Again, it's 3rd down. Amari Cooper looks like he's trying to figure something out. They're not able to get anything accomplished because of the pressure. I'm not sure that, how the Ravens are going to get pressure. Are they going to bring heat like this, 5-man pressure with man free? So when you bring 5 and play man free, in this case, they're bringing 6, because the guy who's responsible for Kareem Hunt is Bell. He identifies that Hunt is blocking, so he gets involved in the blitz as well. That's why that's why I'm saying 5, all right? So he is the 6th blitzer, but when you bring 5 or 6 in man free, you vacate this area middle of the field. But the Bengals do a pretty good job of covering these guys up initially. For whatever reason, Njoku and Cooper did not look in sync with running this mesh concept. I'm not sure Deshaun Watson trusts his O-line in some of these pass pro situations where there's heavy pressure. He seems really jittery. That's probably not the right word to use, but he seems like he's not willing to stand in there long enough to get rid of the ball. I'm not saying that if he stands in there, Amari Cooper's going to be, wide open in this area up here. But I feel like if he stands in here for another second, maybe 1.2 seconds, he can throw the ball to Cooper somewhere around that hash. Although it certainly looks like there's a D tackle that's getting ready to flash and hit him. So we don't get the end zone angle there. And Deshaun Watson made his decision, so you got to live with it on some level. Another third down, 3rd and 14, trips left. You got Chubb in the game, set to the boundary. And you get a deep comeback versus cover 3. Again, I think it is Donovan Peoples-Jones. Good timing. So this is the second such throw, I guess third actually, that we've seen where it's been pretty good timing from Watson. You'll get one more throw here later that I'm really not a big fan of. I feel like the ball's getting out late, but this is not one of them. There is a significant load up to get this ball out. I don't have the end zone angle on all of these, to be honest with you. There is a significant load up to get this ball out of there once he's made his determination. I think he's made his determination here. I think he whatever he's looking at, whatever he's seeing, I think he understands the coverage at this point. Right now, he understands that it is cover 3. There's your 4 underneath, or this is your flat defender who's a little bit more shallow than these other guys on a 3rd and 14, and then here's your 3 deep umbrella. I'm just saying, for the time that he recognizes it, which I think is about here, I think he recognizes the coverage, knows where he's going to go with the ball. It's a significant load up to get this ball over there. And it ends up being short, like I said. 2nd and 14, not 3rd and 14. My apologies. Under center, 1st and 10, Trey left. And you get a dig. This is a really nice throw, if I recall. From the top side of the screen. Stuck that in there to Peoples-Jones, who took a shot. Start talking about this here. You're a Ravens fan, what do you see right now? I mean, there are some good throws, some intermediate throws like this one. The sideline throws are solid. When he has time, looks like he's able to pick out where he wants to go, step into the throw, deliver the football pretty accurately there, as well as the last one. 4th and 6, I think this is to Njoku. Little stop versus sticks blitz 0. So they got 6 guys lined up here, 5 guys lined up at the sticks. Slot fade, and Njoku just sits up, catches in front of Von Bell for the easy first down. Bengals play this. You're going to get 2 guys dropping out of here, I think. They're not able to get in the passing lane. Watson gets rid of the ball quick. When he's getting rid of the ball quick, I feel like you're dealing with a guy who's playing at a high level. When he's hesitant a little bit and taking a long time to get rid of the ball, I feel like it's a little different story. All right, fake F counter. So they're going to fake the counter. I like this action. I feel like this toys with or gives problems to nickel defenders often. So watch Njoku move like he's going down on the F counter, and then slip back out into the flats uncovered. Simultaneous to that, this is one of the things the Browns do a little different. Their running backs. Watch the first of all, the stance is a little different for Chubb, but watch the steps, making it look like counter back to the boundary where they do like to run the football. And then Njoku stepping down and then twirling back. Hilton, I think, decides to go for the sack. Doesn't get there. Touchdown. Great play by Njoku. Shows you his level of athleticism. I know he's had trouble being healthy across multiple seasons, but man, when he's on the field, he produces. And Ravens fans, we know that he's given us trouble before too. All right, Joker set. This is a throw that This is one of the ones that I say I don't know why it takes this long to get there. I can't believe this ball's not coming out earlier and it ends up being intercepted. Now, that looks like a great play by Jesse Bates, and it is. It is a great play. Check this out. Just so you know, there's Bates. All right, I showed you the routes. There they are. I call it over. Some people call it Yankee, whatever. Look what we got here. Look at the distance between Bates and that route. Yes, you have a flat defender out here who's not going to, jump this running back, I think, out into the flats. He's going to maintain some depth because he knows if there's a flat route, a low route, there's probably a high route, like a high-low. So he wants to maintain some depth. Still, there's no reason this ball isn't coming out like very soon or already out. I am playing this in slow motion, but it feels like it's slow motion watching Deshaun Watson deliver the football. And look, he could very well come out next week and these things not happen. Because, like I said, he hasn't played a lot of football in the last 2 years. Watch it live a couple of times, and you tell me how accurate what I'm saying to you is. I feel like Deshaun Watson has and will get rid of the ball with much better timing there and get this ball out of here, more in this area so that Jesse Bates cannot recover. Look at where Peoples-Jones is. He's on this hash, and Bates is on the other hash. Deshaun Watson is way better than this. I don't think it's tipped. If you're a Ravens fan and you want to take some confidence in that, then go right ahead. If you're a Browns fan and you think I'm being too harsh, let me know. I just feel like that's a route, that's a ball that should be completed 9 times out of 10 in the NFL for a pretty big gain, especially by a guy with the talent of a Deshaun Watson. Let me know what you think of Deshaun Watson's play so far on third downs, specifically. His passing game performance, I think, has been inconsistent. I think he's got 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, maybe 3 through 2 weeks. I expect that to even out at some point. I certainly hope it's not Saturday against the Ravens. I hope that he continues to be a little bit more inconsistent than we've been used to seeing when he's playing at, to his potential. I hope that the stats don't flip in the other direction for him and him be able to post up a big game. He certainly got the talent to do it with Cooper, who I know is dealing with like a core injury, Peoples-Jones, Njoku, Hunt, Chubb. There's a lot of talent there, which is what makes it surprising to me on at least 2 of these throws, maybe 3, when I feel like the ball should be out sooner. To give those athletes, those guys who are talented, a chance to make a play. Okay, this second part of the Ravens-Browns preview is going to focus on the Browns offense. And I'm going to make a couple of assertions here, things for you to look for to hopefully help you be a little predictive during the game. There may be some elements that I miss or some things that I don't focus on, some of which is intentional, some of which might just be omissions by me as I record this Friday evening. So I'm going to show, first of all, what I think is the main conflict presented by this Browns offense, regardless of who the quarterback is. Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson, whoever else they've had play quarterback in the last 2 or 3 years when they've been running this system. I think Nick Chubb can be effective in any system. I mean, he's just that talented. Kareem Hunt, too. I know there's been some discussion about should Hunt be in the shotgun? Should they be under center? Yes, he's devastating under center when they have the full complement of their offensive line at complete health. In the shotgun, I've seen him make some big plays. They definitely struggled to run the ball well against the Bengals and also, against the Bills. Those 2 teams really shut the run game down. The last time the Ravens played the Browns in Baltimore, I think Chubb was 16 carries for 91. maybe 18 for 91. And there was 2 drives where I thought the Browns offense was very impressive. And one drive they were dominant, just utterly dominant. And Chubb was a big part of that. Other than the 91 yards, how can I summarize or encapsulate his play? I thought there were 6 or 8 runs where he looked like the best player on the field. In that moment, their offense against our defense. Having said that, we've got a guy named Roquan Smith now, and that's going to be an interesting matchup. So I'm going to show you the basic conflict that I believe the Browns offense presents, regardless of who the quarterback is. But Deshaun Watson's athletic ability and his history of making plays in the NFL, you would think would just augment it. All right, 4th drive against the Bengals. It's a 2nd and 8, 1 back. And the stretch into the boundary is the main portion of the conflict that I would say starts off their offense to the weak side. Now, in this case, they have a tightly aligned X, Peoples-Jones. And he is trying to help out with one arm on the D end and then work up to the second level. So we're talking about right here. He's not really doing much in terms of getting a piece of him, but he's trying to put hands on him to help Willis take that guy over, maybe get the edge. In this case, DJ Reader is winning on the backside. This D tackle, I think, is doing a pretty good job as well. Gets shut down, gain of 2. But you can see what's being set up. The boot back to the field, to the quarterback's right. So we're talking about the fundamentals of having a right-handed quarterback. Again, ball on the left hash. This is against the Texans, I think, 2 weeks ago. Now, this time you've got what I call jumbo 13. So 2 tight ends, 1, 2, and then a 6th offensive lineman who is eligible. So essentially it's 13 personnel with an eligible offensive lineman. Now you've got the stretch to the field to the weak side. When I say weak side, I mean away from the tight ends to the side of the receiver. It's essentially the same thing I just showed you, except last time, the receiver was lined up really tight to the tackle, and it was flipped. He was lined up tight to the left tackle because it was stretch left. This is stretch right. Gain of 8 by Chubb. What are they trying to do? They're trying to cut off backside guys here. So the alignment looks like this initially, and they're all trying to work this way to cut off backside pursuit so that Chubb can safely, cut the ball up, and there's a wall created to prevent these guys from getting there. Or conversely, you get the boot off of it, and these guys are fighting so hard to get to Chubb that there's nobody on boot, and you get the run pass option with the quarterback to either take off with the run play or throw it on the backside to someone. I offer to you that they're not going to boot here back into the boundary that often, but who knows? We might get one coming up soon. As it is, takes advantage of Chubb's skill, his cut ability, his strength, ability to get downhill quickly, 8-yard gain. All right, first drive. This is a 2nd and 12 against the Bengals, 13-yard gain. Into the boundary, to the weak side. Very similar to the one that I showed you the end zone angle of a minute ago. You have the tightly aligned X next to the left tackle. Nickel defender to the field. And Jesse Bates, the left safety, to the field because you have the tight end there. You probably got numbers to the boundary here. Haven't counted them up. Hendrickson is taking on the left tackle. Corner, who's the rookie, is unable to get in there. They do a great job getting up to the linebacker, 13-yard gain. Into the boundary. That's the key. Or running the ball into the boundary enough, successfully, or trying to successfully, to make you account for that, overcompensate, and then hit you back to the field with some big plays. You saw the play in the portion of this video that was about Deshaun Watson, showing the Bengals setting the nickel defender to the boundary. All right, you get the same play, end zone angle. You get the stretch action by Chubb. They're running it away from DJ Reader here, so it's more effective, forcing the boundary side corner to become a run defender. Hendrickson engage in the left tackle, unable to shed the block. Big gains, which you don't want to see with Nick Chubb, right? Because he can break tackles. He can break tackles at the end and turn a 13-yard gain into a 35. Ball's on the hash. Another stretch concept. This one is only a 3-yard gain to the field. And you can see Watson booting off of it. This is the main portion of this is one of the foundational plays in the Browns offense the last 2 or 3 years. The stretch action horizontally, getting the quarterback booting off of it. All right? You guys get the picture. Got to have smart players, man, to stop some of the stuff. Von Bell definitely pointing something out, telling the player over on that side that he's got boot, I guess, because Von Bell is taking off with the run. All right, 1 or 2 more of the stretch. Again, weak side. One thing I will say about the Browns O-line is you're not getting this consistent surge that looks coordinated. Looks like you get basically just a wall of linemen all moving together. Watch the holes that you see there. Yeah, you've got guys working up to the second level, but you've also got penetration by defensive linemen shutting off basically Chubb's ability to make a cut. He's got to stop his feet. Any great running back, once you stop their feet, you've got a chance now. It's a 3-yard gain. Chubb does a nice job of turning it into a 3-yard gain. Could have very easily been a tackle for loss. Ravens are going to need this kind of pursuit, this kind of gang tackling in order to keep this guy down like the Bengals did and the Bills did. All right, you get the point. Under center, stretch. Get to some play action stuff. Same formation. It's a 12. It's not jumbo, I don't think. It's just actually 2 tight ends. Run action to the boundary, to the weak side, and then booting back to the field. Covering up the late route by Cooper coming across the field. Peoples-Jones running a China out or a whip. And the tight end running the deeper part of the route. Short gain, or maybe it was incomplete. Short gain to Peoples-Jones. All right, again. Run action to the weak side, to the boundary. Completed. In rhythm on the over concept. If you watched the first part of this video about Deshaun Watson, you know I showed one against the Bengals where it took him way too long to get rid of this the very next week. This is the first game he played in, and he's able to get rid of this for a 27-yard gain. Under center, jumbo 13. X receiver to the other side. Ace, meaning quarterback under center. Running back behind him, 6, 7, 7.5 yards depth. Play action slant to Cooper for 8. Under center. Now you got 2 receivers over here. Remember the one that I showed you earlier where the Bengals had the nickel set to the boundary? You got a 4-2 here by the Texans, and I think you've got a linebacker apexed out over the Twins. In any case, it's play action. A ball that Deshaun Watson just should not have thrown. There's pressure in his face, don't get me wrong. It's a play action. He's got a guy getting into his grill right now. He thinks Jalen Petre has gone with this route, I guess. Petre comes off of it, leaves him to the boundary side guy. Great play by the rookie. Poor decision by Deshaun Watson down there in the red zone on a 1st and 10. That's the part of it that, and it's early in the game, I believe. And it's surprising to me. But I know, like I said, he hasn't played football consistently in a while. So here's Peoples-Jones running across. And Petre's going to expertly leave him, meaning allow this recovering DB to go ahead and play that route. And then help out on the dig back across the field. Interception on a ball that was intended for Amari Cooper. Do I expect things like this to happen with Deshaun Watson regularly? No. He's too talented, too smart, too experienced. As he gets acclimated to the system and they get the ball out quicker, more often, I think he'll be better served and the offense will as well. All right, another element to their offense, this is changing gears a little bit, is the jet sweep. Now, this is Jacoby Brissett in the game. On some 3rd and 4th and short yardage situations, they're bringing him in the game. It's interesting. This is a tight end sweep. You can see it is not a clean handoff between him and Harrison Bryant. Not fundamental, right? The way that Bryant took that sweep, but it works. Because who expects a sweep to the tight end, right? Nobody. 8-yard gain, first down against the Texans. Schwartz, I think he's on IR until like week 17 or 18, which is unfortunate for the Browns because he's got some talent. In this case, it's a jet sweep on 2nd and 10. A lot cleaner handoff, obviously, because you're talking about an actual receiver who's done this before as opposed to who's done this more often than a tight end. I feel like this jet sweep action is an issue for people to deal with when you have Chubb in the backfield. Again, I think the tendency is to run the ball to the boundary. So watch Chubb's run action be an opposite of the jet, and watch the impact that it has on at least one of their linebackers. Simultaneous to that, you're getting a stunt by the Texans. They're stunting down with these guys because I believe they're anticipating run away, so they're trying to beat those linemen across their face, sets them up for the sweep, basically get a 4-on-2 out on the edge. Schwartz gets a 11-yard gain for a first down. All right, now let's move on to some pass stuff. Empty formation. Gain of 8. On a nice completion along the sideline. I think there's a penalty on the Browns here. It's a completion to Hunt late. I just feel like there's some times where Watson hasn't. This is his first game back, so maybe he's not knowing the coverage. You clearly got cover 3. Maybe he's not recognizing the coverage. Some of these routes aren't really making themselves available, though, to be honest with you. There's nowhere for him to go with the ball. Hunt adapts, and Watson makes a great throw along the sideline. Incomplete pass, bunch left. I feel like he's going to be really effective in the spread stuff if he gets time. And you can see the ability to break tackles or at least extend the play on the last 2 plays is still there. I do love these kind of flood concepts. You're getting, I think, Cooper here, one guy here, and then the running back here. So you got 3 routes down into the boundary to give him the option to throw the football there, kind of like a high-low concept. When I said at the beginning of the video that I was a little bit concerned about them trying to run 2 offenses, this is what I mean. I don't feel like things are smooth in their spread offense all the time. I have seen moments when Watson looks really comfortable, and he should. He's played in spread-style offenses for years. Even the Texans, when he played there, when they would use 2 tight ends, one of them was an H-back guy who was oftentimes blocking on split zone or reading some of the zone RPO plays that they do. Quick game concepts, when he makes a quick decision, he's got everything available to him. Snag flat, the Ravens run this a lot. It's a great play up at the top side of the field on Amari Cooper on a 2nd and 10. This is one of their favorite plays. Lining up in bunch to the boundary, motioning the outside receiver or running back in this case across, and then running back into the boundary. Chubb will almost always find the seam. In this case, it's a 5-yard gain. So when you see them line up bunch, actually this is bunch to the field, one guy motion across, look for this run coming back the other side. Very similar to the jet sweep that I talked about. The jet sweep was going one way, and then Chubb's action is taking him in the opposite direction. This time, Chubb's the guy getting the ball, not the running or not the receiver or running back going in motion and jet sweep. 14-yard gain to Cooper on curl flat down to the boundary. Strong in here, and I think you're getting a flat route. Backside of trips, you're always going to have a big X receiver. The running back's got to hold somebody who holds a second-level defender in zone. It's going to hold this linebacker here and clear the window. Ravens are going to have to figure out a way to get pressure with 4. I think it can happen. It's just a question of how often will it happen. Is it going to happen often enough to get Deshaun Watson off his spot, off his read? I feel like they are better served right now with under center run and play action stuff, and then quick game out of the gun. I'm not sure if I were them, I would want to be in the gun trying to throw the football downfield, but we know the Ravens have given up big plays, so it'll be an interesting element. All right, one of the plays that the Browns have really patented, One back off tackle play. It's not really power. They can run it out of the gun. You get a little counter step by Chubb. 2-yard gain. Look at the pursuit by the Bengals. You'll get a little counter step here. Why is that? It's to allow this guard to get out in front. He's actually trying to get all the way around to the other side. So this counter step is allowing that to time up. So then Chubb can get behind him. In my opinion, it ends up working out like buck sweep in terms of the read for the running back, figuring out whether to put his foot in the ground now and cut up field or bounce it. Cuts it up, and the Bengals are there. When you see the guard pull in tonight's game for the Bengals, whether it's under center or for the Browns, whether it's under center or in the shotgun, keep in mind that it's going to be an off tackle play. It's not going to be a trap and then them running it, up here. They very rarely run inside stuff with pulling guards. Usually the pulling guard, they're trying to get off tackle, and they're giving that guard the ability to get out off tackle in space and go log someone, try to get the running back to the sideline. Same play, end zone angle. You'll see it's the right guard that pulls. And look at Chubb's path. Takes him up towards the line first, and then he veers out towards the sideline. So he's trying to get guys sucked up inside. He's trying to get them stepping downhill with his initial flow so that some of these guys can pin down and get them walled off, meaning create a wall here that those linebackers, second-level defenders, are unable to escape. And then Chubb can follow the pulling lineman off tackle. In this case, Cooper is unable to do anything with Wilson, who gets involved with Bates and makes the play. Ravens have had some trouble with that concept. 18-yard gain on the same concept. One back power, off tackle. They're giving the look like Deshaun Watson is reading it. He may be, because they leave this guy unblocked here. So they're running some similar stuff to the Ravens at times in terms of the reads. I'll show you the pistol option stuff here in a moment. Had probably 20 plays to show you. All right, this is the one that I showed in the previous video about Deshaun Watson. It's an over concept. Ball takes a long time to get out there. It seems to me like the longer developing plays, the timing and everything is not there. Now, this case, this ball should be out way sooner. This ball should be out now. And he's taking a long time to load up and throw it. Jesse Bates is able to recover and make the interception. Look at the separation between Bates and him. It's not like Bates is beat. Bates is playing a particular coverage, and now he's trying to cover on the other side of the field. This ball was way underthrown, way late. Great play by Bates, don't get me wrong. Quick game concepts. You get a sack. When I say quick game concepts, I mean you got snag to one side, available here, running back there. Watson's looking to the opposite side here, doesn't see anything available. I'm not sure that the Browns are going to be able to get in this particular look and consistently beat the Ravens for 3 or 4 quarters. Now, could they get in the shotgun, those looks, late in the game and move the ball on the Ravens? Absolutely, because everybody else has in those situations. There's no reason for us to try to protect the Ravens' defense or be gatekeepers, I guess, and say that they couldn't do it. Late in games? Absolutely. Late in the half? Absolutely. Are they going to be able to do it for 4 quarters? No, I don't think so. I think they will be at risk of turning the football over. A high-low concept, I mean multiple times. High-low concept here and here to the bottom side. I don't think this ball gets tipped. This looks like one of the ones where I'm like, the ball's got to be out. Taking a long time to load it up. Maybe it is tipped. In any case, it ends up short. High-low concept on this defender here, to underneath by the tight end. And then Cooper, again, to the boundary. Cooper loves these routes back to the sideline. All right, a couple more plays out of the gun. Then we'll show you some pistol stuff. Looks like a zone read play. It definitely is like a split zone. You're getting the H-back come across the line of scrimmage, kick out this edge player. These guys are all working this way. You can see what they're setting up. him to keep it, and then some complementary routes out here. So there's definitely parts to a spread to run system, spread to throw in, spread to run, a balanced spread offense. Let me put it that way. There's definitely elements that have been installed and could be ready to go at some point in terms of being streamlined, them being very efficient. Third down, two guys getting beat at the offensive line position. Look like anybody's open initially to me. Looks like should be quick game stuff. I'm seeing what looks like an under here. Second level defenders doing a pretty good job. All right, we've shown you enough play action pass stuff in the Deshaun Watson video. Let's get to the option stuff. All right, here we go. So it should look very similar, very familiar to you. Running the option, reading it, somewhat similar to the way the Ravens are. The fullback, quote, should be reading it. Watson gives it. The fullback runs out in the flat. So either one of two things is true. Either Deshaun Watson misread it. I don't think that's the case. Or the running back Hunt is not reading it. He's just running out into the flats, which I think is the case. You can see the mesh isn't clean between Watson and Chubb. A little bit of a fumble, but the more they do it, the better they'll get at it. Those two guys are too damn good and too talented to not be able to streamline that and make it efficient. Ravens fans should be real familiar with it. It's a Ravens concept. Except, our fullback would be reading the end the same way. It looks like Hunt is not in this case. But if they put a fullback back there or a tight end, you can expect that they would be. All right, pistol again. RPO, the Ravens run this exact play. Reading the DN to the boundary, to the top side. To give to the running back. So you're getting one guy run out into the flats. Theoretically, could be running a wheel. You could get a post. That's usually Duvernay down there. And then the tight end running out into the flats in case Watson keeps it. To throw it out there to him. Why are teams running this? Usually you got the nickel set to the field. That's why. In this case, they got the twins set to the boundary. One of the twins, I think, is another running back. It's a running back number, anyway. I know David Bell's not playing. Ravens fans should be familiar with that one, too. It's a Ravens concept. We run the exact same play to the right because we have a right-handed quarterback. So after the mesh, a right-handed quarterback will be able to throw the ball to his right into the boundary, a shorter throw. Whereas if you did this the other way, the quarterback's going to have to flip his hips to try to get that ball out to the left if he keeps it initially. To give to Chubb for a 4-yard gain. All right, a sweep RPO look. People call it wide zone, just, looks like sweep. Chubb's able to get back to the line of scrimmage. Looks like it could have been a loss of 3 or maybe even 4. This case, they're all run blocking, but you can see there is the opportunity to run some stuff backside. Ravens have ran this before where, we have a guy crossing face and we're running a slant backside, usually twins backside, usually 2 receivers over here. In this case, there's only 1. But it's Chubb set to the boundary, running a wide path to the field, which I haven't seen them do with Hunt yet. I'm all about reading backs a lot of times, to be honest with you, because they would give away plays. But in the NFL, that's a different level. All right, QB counter read. So you're getting Hunt and Chubb in the backfield. Chubb's going to cross Watson's face. Same play the Ravens run. Ends up being a 7-yard gain. I've got this on film 3 times with Deshaun Watson back there, I believe. And they're generally running it with the back crossing Watson's face from left to right, and then Watson giving it or keeping it and running off to his left. Against the Texans, pretty much the same thing. Doesn't look like as clean of a mesh there to me. It's like maybe he's reading the backside end to me, this guy right here. Keeps it, runs on the sideline, 7-yard gain. I think they had a penalty on this one too. Same exact play the Ravens use. Don't look as clean with it, but with an athlete like Watson and some of the guys they have who are able to block, you can definitely imagine that it will be successful or have the potential to be successful. Last one, somewhat different. We would call this QB steal, and it doesn't look super clean to me. Just like a couple of the stretch plays that I showed you earlier, I only stopped one to explain it. Look at the penetration you're getting here in the backfield to create vertical seams in the offensive line. They don't look as coordinated. They don't look as everybody's all on the same page with the offensive line. I know that they've had injuries. They've had the return of Deshaun Watson, which kind of probably throws some hiccups into it in terms of the things they're trying to accomplish because of how talented he is versus Jacoby Brissett. I'm interested to see what they do. Are they going to be under center, running the running back into the boundary and the play action to the field a lot? I think they've had some success with that against the Ravens. Are they going to be in the shotgun, 11 personnel, 12 personnel, throwing the ball a lot, RPOing us, running some pistol option, running some zone read or the sweep read? Anytime you're getting Chubb out in space with a pulling lineman out in front of him, theoretically that should be a two-way go for the running back. In my opinion, Nick Chubb is so good that it creates almost a three-way go. And I know there's not three sides. A pulling lineman only has his right shoulder or his left shoulder, whether he's pulling out to the right or pulling out to the left. They've only got two shoulders, so it should only be a two-way go. I'm calling it a three-way go for Chubb because he's that talented. He's got the ability to go off the lineman's left shoulder and then make a cut back outside to the right once he clears that pulling lineman. He's just a unique talent. Getting him out in space, whether it's under center or in the shotgun, if you ask me, is the quickest way for this Browns offense to really get the Ravens defense back on their heels, because the Ravens have talent. They have the ability to stop people, but Nick Chubb has the ability to set up other people for the Browns. I think Deshaun Watson does too. Obviously, the talent level is incredible for Deshaun Watson, but right now, the most consistent guy in terms of how he can set up the rest of the offense, how he can set up the rest of the game is called, seems like Nick Chubb to me. And I know he did not have success running the ball last week against the Bengals. And the other really, really good defense that he faced this year, the Bills shut him down to the tune of I think 11 carries for 19 yards or maybe 13 for 19. Let me know what you think of my discussion, film study, and evaluation of the Browns' two different offenses, and that's a very simplistic and unrealistic the way that I'm explaining it, to be honest with you. But I think that they're going to come out under center first and see if we can stop the run and play action game initially, and then try to throw some of the different looks at us, the pistol option, the RPO, the QB sweep or wide zone stuff, or running back sweep or wide zone stuff that I showed you a little bit of today. All right, so the third section of this preview is going to be a little bit of a change up. So the front picture here that you're seeing is obviously Ronnie Stanley versus Myles Garrett, a huge matchup. Myles Garrett usually plays on the defense's right, the offense's left. There's times where he switches over to the other side. I do not subscribe to the belief that he switched over to the left side against the Ravens in the first meeting in Baltimore to get away from Ronnie Stanley. That's just not my observation. They do move him strategically at times, depending on field and boundary, depending on matchup, passing situation. In my opinion, he plays where he plays because of what the Browns are trying to accomplish. I do not view it at all as Myles Garrett trying to avoid Ronnie Stanley. Now, having said that, Ronnie Stanley does present some problems for him. Ronnie Stanley is very tactical and athletic and strong, has the hand strength and the anchor and the base to try to take away some of the moves that Myles Garrett uses. Myles Garrett is talented enough to get a sack against anyone on any specific play. This is a huge matchup. If Stanley's able to quiet Myles Garrett, hold him down, keep him from pressuring, maybe even hold him out of the sack column altogether, that sets the Ravens up, to get a win, or at least be consistent on offense, not give up negative yardage plays. If Myles Garrett's able to come out there and get 2 or 3 quarterback hits, a sack, or maybe a sack and a half, or even a forced fumble, then that sets the Browns up and disrupts what the Ravens are trying to do. That is not, however, going to be what the third part of my preview is. The third part of my preview is going to be showing what the Browns did defensively to slow down the Ravens' run game, and how I think their commitment to playing smaller, quicker inside linebackers has given the Ravens trouble at times. their physicality, their willingness to play downhill at the second level has caused problems for the Ravens at times. The Browns are a little bit unique in that they will play nickel as their base versus 21 personnel, whereas a lot of other teams recently have played, like the Steelers played an extra inside linebacker early in the game against 21 personnel. Then later on in the game against 22 personnel, the Steelers used an extra outside linebacker. So they took a DB off the field. The Jacksonville Jaguars did a similar concept. They played a 5-3 with 3 inside linebackers, 2 edge defenders, and 3 interior D linemen, and only 3 men in the secondary. That's what they played against 22 personnel for the Ravens. So when you watch the game, try to pay attention to the personnel that the Ravens are in and what front the Browns are in. Not necessarily the front. Is it a over front? Is it an under front? But how many inside linebackers do they have on the field? Now, having said all that, they also have a situation they got to try to handle in terms of what inside linebackers are actually going to play. They're missing their top 2 guys, or 2 of their top 3, I guess. So how do they get in some of these fronts that they use? All right. Going to take a look at 14 run plays from the first matchup. This is 21 personnel. It's going to be a gain of 4 by Edwards. And we're going up against the nickel for the Browns. So this, to me, is the nickel defender. 2 inside backers. 4-man line, even though Clowney is lined up as an edge defender. They're kicking over to the bunch side. Why? Because they know the play. They know it's stretch. Gus cuts it back for 4. If we do not get these inside linebackers blocked up, I don't know that it will matter who plays inside linebacker for the Browns. And what I mean is, I'm not saying they're going to just totally stop us if we leave them unblocked, because these guys make plays. But if we leave them unblocked at the point of attack, we will have trouble breaking bigger runs. Look, this linebacker is totally unblocked, and then JOK runs right underneath on the wrong side of Ricard's block. Ricard does get a piece of him, but it ain't much. It's a 4-yard gain where if we're able to get the front side and backside inside linebackers blocked up, these things turn into 6 or 8-yard gains. Also something to be said about the Ravens being predictable in that bunch pistol formation. All right, very next play, 2nd and 6, 22 personnel versus their 4-3. So now you've got the same look up front, an even front, your 2 inside backers that I just talked about. And I think that's Taki, who is now out as a 3rd inside linebacker, and then they've rolled a safety up into the box as well. A power concept to the left, and Linderbaum pulls. Ricard is also pulling in motion, and nobody blocks the backside inside linebacker. Here's the front side inside linebacker. JOK is the backside guy. It doesn't matter who the player is. If you leave the backside inside linebacker unblocked, you will have problems. If you leave the front side inside linebacker unblocked, you will have problems. There has to be a way to get to those guys on a 2nd and 6 when we've got Gus running downhill full head of steam. Can't leave guys unblocked. Gain of 3. All right, very next play, 3rd and 3. 21 personnel versus their nickel. So 21 personnel, 2 running backs, and 1 tight end. They've taken Taki off the field, and the backside linebacker runs underneath of this play. This is a run play to this side. So he's unblocked again, but he runs himself underneath and out of the play. 11-yard gain. It's very simple. I'm going to be honest with you. This is something I was taught a long time ago. Here's the ball. The ball was on this hash. This linebacker and this running back are both lined up on the downside of the midline, the hash, where the ball was snapped. If the running back and a pulling guard cross over from the left side of the formation to the right side of the formation, you need to get a corresponding match from someone else over here. Someone else needs to get to this side to match those numbers. And he goes underneath. Those numbers aren't matched, and there's more space for Gus at the second level. Basically, the backside inside linebacker is not there. You can get him blocked and accomplish the same thing. As we're running the football, look for whether or not the Ravens are able to block the linebackers for the Browns. If we are, I think the run game can really get going. Now, Can we get separation from the Browns? I still don't know. I mean, we ran for 215 last week and got 3 picks. Let's be negative for a second. And we only beat the Steelers by 2. And 2 of those picks was in the red zone in terms of the Steelers' offense being close to the red zone. The third one, with a throw originated from midfield. This can't happen. The timing of this cannot happen. It's still a 4-yard gain by Drake. These plays where Lamar opens to the side of the running back, to Ricard's motion, I don't know why, but they seem more effective. We open opposite so often on our counter wineback scheme, and the Browns had a great answer for our counter wineback scheme in the first game. All right, still the first drive. 22 personnel versus 4-3 under. So when I say 4-3 under, there's your third inside backer, but he's not lined up at inside backer. He's basically lined up in an under front. They got the 1 kick to the weak to the field. They got the 3 here. They've got a wide 5 here. We're only able to get 1 yard because we don't block that guy at all. Ravens have to get to these linebackers and get hats on them, make them have to shed blockers. I don't pretend to know a whole lot about who's going to play inside linebacker for them later today. I'm going to be honest with you. All right, same drive, first drive, 2nd and 9, so it's the very next play, 22 personnel. I think that some of the things that were the most successful against the Browns was when these offbeat run plays. Here's a draw for 6 to Gus. JOK gets in there quick. He identifies it fast, but again, totally unblocked. When the inside linebackers are unblocked, they're going to be able to make plays. How do you get to them? Part of the answer is be less predictable offensively. When you are predictable offensively, you make it they're able to hedge more to the play side. Look at where they're lined up here. There's 2 linebackers and a third. They are all, and the ball is here. All 3 inside linebackers are lined up to one side for the Browns. Why is that? Probably because Ricard's over there. This is a great job by Oliver, though, dealing with Myles Garrett. We motion Ricard across, so they're wrong, meaning the Browns are wrong with their alignment of the inside linebackers. JOK shoots the gap, doesn't get there. Ricard doesn't get much of a block. Andrews misses the backside inside linebacker, and Moses does too. This was one of the worst games that Moses played. Watch him here. He's supposed to combo up to the backside inside linebacker, which is here. Simultaneous to that, Andrews is going to get the backside inside linebacker. He doesn't have an angle to get him. Andrews has an angle to get that guy there. Watch what Moses does. He runs right past him. Combos. I mean, it's a good combo with Zeitler. Runs right past this guy. Now, I know what people are going to say. Andrews should block him. No, he shouldn't. We're comboing to the backside guy. And we don't get there. The front side guy is going to be blocked by Ricard. Ricard would pull and block the front side guy. Oliver's job is to block Garrett this way, which he successfully does. Now, the front side inside linebacker would be JOK. But again, he's lined up to this side of the formation. I kind of covered that a minute ago. And he shoots the gap on this side. He doesn't get there. This ends up being the front side guy, the front side inside linebacker. Look who blocks him. Ricard. Moses played really, really poor against this Browns team. I was on Ken's podcast last week. I think he told me this was Moses' worst scoring game. I could be wrong. I'll check with that and maybe post something in the comment section. I'm a big fan of Morgan Moses. I think he came up big against TJ Watt last week, but just got to keep it real. This was his worst game, and this was one of the plays that pissed me off the most because Ricard's at least got this safety blocked up. If we close off the backside inside linebacker, which is his assignment, we're in the end zone. All right, 2nd and 5. Third drive in the red zone. I don't know how to describe this any other way. Morgan Moses pulls the wrong way. I'll run this multiple times. Look at how Lamar opens. Watch Lamar get his hips off the midline. There's the midline where his feet are. He's got to receive the ball on the midline. He steps off of it. Why? So that Gus can have the midline and then veer back this way. Confirm with Ricard. Pulling. Confirm with Linderbaum. Pulling. What is Moses doing? He's pulling in the wrong direction. I think this happened twice this game. Do I anticipate Morgan Moses playing this poor tonight? No, I do not. He's playing well for most of the year. I'm not sure this play is going to be super successful anyway. But we shouldn't be pulling in the wrong direction. We can't be. So some of it was the Browns playing well. Yes. Some of it was their guys knowing the play direction. The last two plays I showed you, if you ask me, is breakdowns along the offensive line in terms of blocking the wrong guy or not attempting to block the correct guy, let's put it that way, and then pulling in the opposite direction of the play call. All right, fourth possession. I think the first play of the drive is a 1st and 10, 21 personnel versus nickel. Watch what the Browns are doing to counter wind back away. Lamar is opening 2. Number 33, the safety, who's lined up over Andrews. 33 has multiple keys going away from him. He's got Ricard pulling away from him or motioning away. He's got Lamar opening to him. Now, I offer to you that what we need to do against this Browns team early on is get in the same look. Pull Ricard, motion Ricard away. Have Lamar open to this side and read the end. Now, you're going to say correctly, Coach, 94 the end is assigned to run down the line and tackle the running back. You know, whether the running back runs straight downhill or whether the running back winds it back to the other side. You are correct. That is what he's assigned to do. What's 33 assigned to do? He's assigned to Lamar. Leave him if we had Lamar, right? But we don't. We don't have Lamar. So what do? In my opinion, open to it, run this guy out in the flats, or fake block and then run him out in the flats. And you're going to say, well, Coach, they've got 2 guys here to cover. That's true, they do. Run the good old something like that, or run the sluggo. Why? The D end is running down the line. This guy may not be assigned to go after Huntley in the same way. He might be. If he gets in your face, throw it in the flats. Right? Now, we got to make sure that the corner doesn't pick it off. Generally, when they're when they're running the safety out of here, 33, they're not going to play some type of 2 read. They're going to play man. In my opinion, it leaves man, and our opportunities are number 2 out in the flats, which is Andrews, or a slant or a sluggo. Those routes are not drawn up, very accurately. I think we can manipulate this Browns defense by confirming that they're going to be in certain looks and they're going to do certain things. The problem is they might be a little more unpredictable because of some of their linebacker situation and some of the guys they have who are not playing. Hopefully I said that in a way that made sense. Hopefully I showed you what I think the Browns are going to do on Ricard's motion away. All right, same drive, 1st and 10, 21 personnel versus nickel. The nickel is set to the boundary because we have three receivers down here. They've still got 2 safeties. So even up to the top side, they've got a corner and a safety lined up there. So it's not like we just have straight numbers up there to throw the ball to. Ricard motions away. Look at 94. When Ricard motions away, they're going to run to chase down the counter windback. I know we don't want to run option with Huntley. That's why I didn't say run option with Huntley on the last play. I said run an RPO. Or what would look like an RPO. You got the same thing here, except 94 is running down the line. I don't see 33 running at Lamar. At least it doesn't look like. Now, he's just stepping up to see if Lamar keeps it. I don't know why in this game we didn't run the same play, have Lamar read the end, Andrews block this guy. Yes, the safety's going to be one-on-one, no doubt, or he's going to have an opportunity to come make a play. Lamar, keep it, and let's get you running. That, if I remember correct, that we gave him trouble with that twice in the home game in 2021 when Lamar threw 3 or 4 interceptions. Fourth drive, power out of jokers. Pretty good job by Ricard, if I remember. We're running it to the side of the 3 technique and the 6 technique. Oliver's doing a nice job. One of the things that I've noticed with playing against Lamar Jackson is people are going to respect the tight end nobody side often. So what I mean is, look, this is Josh Oliver, not a downfield threat in terms of just beating people one-on-one. They've got a corner and a strong safety set up over here who's really lined up close to JOK. Why? Because of the threat of Lamar. I am interested to see, by the way, this is a will linebacker walked out. So this is a 4-3 is all this is, with the will walked out over twins. So that's how they're lining up to twins when they have 4-3 structure on the field and retaining the corner and the safety back to the tight end nobody side. I'm interested to see how their defensive structure changes, if at all, with Lamar not being there. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Ricard blocking a guy like 8-10 yards away from the play. 6-yard gain to Gus. Do I think that they're going to totally slow down or stop the run game? No, I don't. But my fear is our run game this year has really only been dominant without Lamar one time, which was last week. The Browns have shown the ability to stop some of our run concepts consistently, or at least have people at the point of attack. In this case, Lamar just jukes one safety and then makes another guy miss, or almost makes another guy miss. In my opinion, we've got to get in this set, motion Duve across, which is normally our QB power read play, which it is here, and we've got to throw backside to this guy. If it's Demarcus Robinson, I like our chances. He has produced all year long when he's been given opportunities, meaning when he's been given 6 or 8 or 10 targets in each of those situations, Demarcus Robinson has given us some production to justify that. Tell me the game where that description does not fit or does not work. Same drive, got a 4-yard gain by Edwards, and again, I don't think we're doing a good job picking up these linebackers. I don't think Moses is doing a great job here, nor is Ricard. The safety to the boundary is stepping up quickly, and he's going to be there to be involved. Don't get me wrong. The guy who I don't want to see there is the backside inside linebacker, all right? JOK, I think, is going to get handled by Ricard, or at least he gets blocked. This backside guy is Moses' responsibility. There is no way that Morgan Moses plays this poorly once again. I just don't see it. All right, now check this out. Remember before the other 2 counter wind-back plays I've showed you? Ricard motions here. Lamar opens this way. So to the downside of the screen, and the running back winds it back. What's this DN do when it was 94? He's running down the line of scrimmage, right? He's running down the line of scrimmage violently. Watch Lamar open with Ricard's motion. I think we've got to do this more often. It's a great job by Andrews. I think he picks up JOK. He combos the first D end, or helps out. He's going to help out, and then pins JOK in. A safety doesn't even come close to touching Edwards. So it's just kick, really. Split zone kick, whatever you want to call it. I want to see this a little bit more often with Huntley. Are we going to run the option with Huntley? No. So this would just be a give, for real. But I want to see us do this and open with Ricard's motion. Why? Eventually, where we've got to get to, and what I think should hit people big at some point, is Ricard motioning this way, quarterback opening this way, and then run the wind back, the counter, back here. Because what is counter? Counter's going opposite the fullback generally. When we're doing counter wind back, we're running Ricard here. The quarterback is open opposite. Okay, so he's opening to the downside, opposite of this motion, and then the running back is going behind Ricard's motion. To me, that's not really counter. I mean, I call it counter wind back because of the way that the quarterback is opening, because you're normally getting, guard tackle pull, or sometimes you're getting center tackle pull. So that's why we call it counter. In my opinion, I want to see us run the counter the other way. Ricard motion across, run the counter back here, this side, which would mean pulling Powers and Ronnie, or pulling Linderbaum and Ronnie. Run it opposite Ricard's motion. See what happens. Because all we got to do is get Gus or JK one or two seams, and we've got an opportunity to make big plays. Are we going to rush for 215 yards? No, we're not. I think if the Ravens can run for 165, that's a win for the Ravens offense. I will be happy to be wrong. I'd be happy for us to run for 190. I'm just not sure that we can walk in there and do that against this. This is a divisional opponent, but they did it to the Steelers last week. The O-line was dominant. JK and Gus had huge moments. In order for us to get to 190, we're going to need 130-plus yard run and maybe another 20 or 22-plus yard run by our running backs. Are we capable? Yes, we are. Is it likely that we're going to go in there and just hammer the ball down the Browns' throats like we did the Steelers? I would have to admit it is not. So if I was going to do a prediction, this is a tough one. I think Deshaun Watson's going to play better than he has. He's had moments of playing really well. He's had moments of executing and moments of being really sharp. There's been at least 3 or 4 plays that I showed you, throws that I showed you, or lack of throws where I'm like, why isn't he getting rid of the ball? Why isn't the ball out already? In my opinion, his decision-making will be sped up the more reps he gets, the more the game plan is clear for him. I don't know what kind of work he was doing prior to the Texans game in terms of specific game plan, specific looks, specific reads and coverages and reactions. I think best case scenario, the Ravens go in there and run for 180, 190, don't turn the ball over, and we're able to win this game 21-17, 21-14, maybe 21-16 is sticking out for some reason. It's going to be close, you'd have to think so, right? That's no turnovers on either side. Turnover one way or the other could sway that score by 3 to maybe even 6 points. Worst case scenario is the Browns put the running game together and Deshaun Watson is sharp, and the Ravens have got to figure out a way to score 24 or maybe even 26 points to avoid another late game collapse. I think it's entirely possible that the Browns are able to score more against this Ravens defense than we would like to admit, because Deshaun Watson's going to make plays, and if they're able to get Nick Chubb out in space, it feels like a dangerous game to me. I would be really happy to be wrong. I think you're looking at a game that the Ravens can win 6 out of 10 times right now, maybe 5, because of the quarterback situation. Were we to have Lamar and their line and the Browns linebacker situation to be what it is, I think that drastically swings the pendulum in our favor, even on the road, with their linebacker situation and a healthy Lamar available and Gus and JK. I think you're looking at a game we win 8 times out of 10. Having said all that, we don't have Lamar. And we have Tyler Huntley, who we probably don't want to put at risk. So the playbook is going to be even more limited, if you ask me. This game will be a huge test of Greg Roman and the offensive staff's ability to try to get to 160, 180, maybe even 200 in the pass game. Last year against them, we used Rashad Bateman to great effect. I'm talking about the game up there in Cleveland when Lamar got knocked out of the game. Bateman gave them problems all over the field, specifically in one-on-one situations. In my opinion, we got to get Demarcus Robinson in some of those situations, give him an opportunity to win. Every time this year that he's been given opportunities, he has produced. If we don't turn the ball over and we can get to 165 on generic runs, meaning no options, and not having a 30-plus yard run and a 22, 25-yard run capped onto that, and we can get something out of Demarcus Robinson or Deshaun Jackson on the backside on a big play, I think the Ravens can win this game by 10 points. I really do. Because our defense has that ability. But we've got to close out second end of the quarter situations, and we've got to close out end of the game situations, which to me so far has been our Achilles heel. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments section. If you think Ravens fans would enjoy this one before the game starts this afternoon, Please consider sharing a link to this video on social media to help the video get more reach.